This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
It's just a courtesy call with Jayalalitha, says Sushma Swaraj in Chennai, as she promises to take up the Tamil fishermen issue in Parliament.
In the Parliament also.
2 young children hung, the mother stabbed and strangulated. The killer father fled to Tirupati, now in the hands of the Andhra police. Another hour to sweat it out. A 2-hour power cut in Chennai starting June 27th. Inverter sales to see an increase. A single hut on fire sets ablaze 40 others in Chennai's ICF area. Fortunately, none are injured. Matriculation schools question why they must follow the new fee structure when the government's expenditure on educating children is higher.
Private schools, we are charging less fees, more than what the government spends.
Welcome to NDTV Hindu. You're watching the late night news, where we bring you a roundup of all the top stories through the evening. I'm Natasha Duraiswamy. Let's now take a look at the national headlines. Nationwide protests over the diesel, kerosene and LPG hike. The oil minister rolls out a rollback. The government's key ally, Mamata Banerjee, provides relief to her state, cuts state cess on LPG to cushion consumers. With sky-high cut-offs, students use fake OBC certificates to get into Delhi's top colleges. The police question Sai Baba's nephew Ratnakar over reports of mishandling of trust money. Defending champion Saina Nehwal sails into the final of the Indonesian Open Super Series. And NDTV speaks to Michael Jackson's brother Jermaine Jackson on the pop icon's legacy. Now on to our top story tonight, a shocking story really. 4 people were murdered in different corners of the city between Friday evening and Saturday morning. And all the 4 were young housewives who were in their 20s, and 2 little children as well. After the murders came to light, Chennai police managed to get on the trail of the man suspected of murdering his wife and his 2 children and nabbed him in Tirupati. Now, while the accused, who allegedly raped and murdered the young housewife in Saidapet, is still on the run. Our crime correspondent Salim reports.
Within the span of a few nocturnal hours, the city witnessed 4 spine-chilling murders. In both cases, the accused and the victims were known to each other.
Police say this is one of the most grisly scenes they have ever encountered. The bodies of 2 little children hung to death and their mother stabbed and strangulated. But even more incomprehensible to some was the story that emerged after the bodies were found on Saturday. 31-year-old Yogesh, the accused, murdered his own family, locked the house and fled to Tirupati, from where he called his brother to inform that he had murdered his wife and children. Yogesh's brother rushed to the spot and found it all to be too true.
Sir, I am the house owner. My name is Kandiappan. This is the walking போயிட்டு வரும்போது 7:30 மணிக்கு நான் வரும்போது இங்க ஜனம் நின்னுது. என்னன்னு கேட்டா மேல மர்டர் நடந்துருக்கு. அப்ப போலீஸ் இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷன் நடக்குது. போலீஸ் இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷன் நடந்தா உள்ள அலோ பண்ண மாட்டேன்ட்டாங்க. அதனால பாடியை எடுத்துட்டு போயிட்டாங்க. ஒரு 2 வயசுல ஒரு குழந்தை, ஒரு 6 மாசத்துல ஒரு குழந்தை, ஒரு பொண்ணு ருக்குமணி 3 பேர் இறந்துட்டாங்க. அந்த பாடி வந்து போஸ்ட்மார்ட்டத்துக்காக எடுத்துட்டு போயிருக்காங்க.
Chennai police tracked Yogesh's mobile phone tower and alerted the Andhra Pradesh police, who caught him in Tirupati. Only hours earlier on Friday evening, police found a young housewife lying in a pool of blood at her home in Saidapet. The autopsy on her has been completed and the results are awaited to verify sexual assault, which the police suspect, going by the condition in which they had found her body. It is also suspected that a man related to the dead woman's husband could have committed the murder. But there is no doubt that crimes of passion are on the rise. In Chennai, with Salim, Natasha for NDTV Hindu. Now, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, Sushma Swaraj, today called on the Chief Minister, Jayalalitha, terming it as just a courtesy call. The two met for the first time after Amma came to power in the state. Sushma Swaraj, who had raised in Parliament the issue of attacks on Indian fishermen by Sri Lankan Navy, said they discussed the issue in detail and requested Jayalalitha for a copy of the resolution that was passed so that she can further raise the issue in Parliament.
It was a courtesy call. After she became the Chief Minister, this was my first visit.
Okay.
Especially, we talked about Sri Lankan fishermen because they have passed 2 resolutions in the Assembly. So I asked her to send the copies of those resolutions to me so that we can raise this issue in the Parliament also. As you know, earlier also, I raised the issue of 2 fishermen who were killed by the Sri Lankan Navy and 150 fishermen who were arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy. And again 5 members from Kanyakumari, 5 fishermen, they were killed. And again 23 fishermen have been arrested and 5 boats have been confiscated. She said that she has already spoken to the Prime Minister also about this, and I have asked her to give those resolutions, the copies of those resolutions to me, because she has filed a case for Kachdev Island also. So I have asked her to give the copy of that petition also so that we can raise these issues in the Parliament.
Moving on now, this certain news is going to burn a hole in your pockets. It's not a price hike on petrol now, but rather on LPG and kerosene and diesel. Now this after the centre increased the prices of each of these forms of fuel to compensate for the global hike in crude oil prices. Diesel prices increased 3 rupees a litre and LPG will cost 50 rupees more per cylinder. Kerosene on the other hand are up to 2 rupees per litre more, but here's where the bigger catch is. This is excluding the value added tax. Here's how the government, however, defended the hike, calling it moderate, but the opposition has slammed the hike, and even Mamata Banerjee and her Trinamool Congress, a close partner in the UPA coalition, have said that they do not support the price hike.
Very modest increase, and I have taken the risk of reducing the duties to substantial. I think it will be around 49,000 crores, taking into account of the reduction of import duty and also excise duties.
এবং আমরা আমাদের দলের সিদ্ধান্ত জানাচ্ছি এমনি দ্রব্যমূল্য বৃদ্ধিতে মানুষের সংকটজনক অবস্থা বারবার এই দ্রব্যমূল্য বৃদ্ধিকে আমরা সমর্থন করছি না এবং আমরা আমাদের অপিনিয়ন ইতিমধ্যে আমরা জানিয়েও দিয়েছি যেখানে জানানোর প্রয়োজন জানিয়ে দিয়েছি
This kind of an increase in the fuel prices, gas and diesel in particular, there is going to be a cascading effect, as a result of which further rise in inflation is what we can expect. We, the citizens of this country, should understand that this government is no more for Aam Aadmi.
कीमतों को कंट्रोल में लाओ और नहीं तो लोग तुमको कंट्रोल में लाएंगे.
And the central government is totally insensitive to the sufferings of the common man. This is the 10th hike of petroleum products by this government, 10th hike. And this time the victims are housewives because the LPG rates have been hiked, the farmers because the diesel prices have been hiked, and the poorest of the poor because the rates of the kerosene have been hiked. This party, Congress party, came to power on one slogan, Congress ka haath Aam Aadmi ke saath. That means they talked about the common man. But this is what the common man got during this regime.
And if you were hoping that political pressure might help a rollback in this price hike, it's a clear-cut no, according to the Petroleum Minister, Jayapal Reddy.
So you don't see any possibility of a rollback at all? There's no question of you going back on this decision? If there is a political pressure that is created, would you reconsider the proposal? I think let's not get into the discussion. See, I don't like to make any bold statements. This increase is so modest. It has disappointed every possible commentator in the country. But I'm asking you specifically, do you see a possibility of a rollback? No. How does the question arise at all?
Well, it's going to be not 1 but 2 hours of power cuts in Chennai come June 27th. The Tamil Nadu Electricity Board announced that Chennaites have to face 1 more hour of power cuts in rotation. In addition to the existing 1-hour power cuts, to facilitate laying of a transmission line, the TNEB media release said that the power cuts will be effective till the 7th of July. On June 28th and July 6th, 1-hour power cuts will be in force in rotation during the nights as well. Initially, the TNEB wanted to have 4-hour power cuts for Chennai to speed up the laying of a transmission line, which will reduce power shortage in the city by 250 megawatts. But on the advice of the Chief Minister Jayalalitha, it has found ways to reduce power cuts to 2 hours for just 10 days. Remember, the city has been facing a 1-hour power cut since May due to power deficit. And the sale of inverters has skyrocketed in Chennai since then, with electronic shops doing brisk business. Coming up on the other side of this short break, who's really accountable for the mishandling of the money from the Sai Baba Trust? That's coming up on the other side.